Hey guys, Voidrune5829 here. I just wanted to continue on with my list building series. Today I'm going to be covering my opinions on running a fast, elite, and heavy slots. Alright, so in previous videos I've gone over list theme, list type, HQs, and troops, and the different options in between. You can go ahead and check that out in the playlist under my name. So today, the three non-HQ or troops, the elites, heavier, fast, they all play particular roles, which you would guess. Elites are usually your heavy hitting guys that usually have a lot of staying power, but are generally a lot slower. Well, actually, I take that back. They have transport options and everything like that. They keep your mobility level about the same as where it already was before you started adding them. And elites, they're very highly specialized, expensive units that take the base chassis of your troop and improve it. So, for example, a Space Marine army, they have tacticals, and their elites build off of those by having Stern Guard or Terminators, which is just a better save. You get the idea. And so elites, I use them for a very specific purpose, so that way I know exactly what I'm going to be using them for, and I know how to gauge whether or not they were worth it taking in the list or not, based on how well they did that job. Alright, so fast, as the name implies, they're going to speed up your mobility level. They're going to increase it and make it lean you more towards a more mobile army type. And hopefully, like, if you're taking fast, that's where you're planning on going. Scout units, fast units, are usually those models with bikes or any other way, or beasts, or other ways that they can move 12 inches. Cavalry for Thunderwolves. And they're usually there either as late game objective holders in the case of bikes, or they're there as a very fast and efficient, usually, way of getting close combat HQs into close combat. It's a way, they're a way to ensure that your close combat HQ gets in there by turn 2, and to give him a decent bodyguard so that he can actually make it and still be kind of useful. I like to use my fast as objective grabbers. Well, actually, I like to use them in both ways. For my orcs, I use Deffkoptas as objective grabbers, and I use a 10-man blob of bikes as an escort for my war boss. But I also use war buggies as not as distraction units, but as line of sight blocking. When I deploy, I put my war buggies horizontally at the edge of my line, blocking line of sight, or at least giving cover to my storm boys, because they have a t-shirt save. And that's just how I use them. But I'm not going to go into war buggies right now. All right, and then your heavy support slots, they are the guys that drag your army down and make you more static, because they have heavy weapons, and in most cases don't even have relentless or slow and purposeful, except if you're Tau or Chaos Obliterators or something similar to that. Your heavy support are your bigger guns. They are the ones that sit in the back and just throw shots downrange. That's their entire purpose. And a way that I use them, and a way that I've seen a lot of people use them, is just backfield objective grabbing. And that's during deployment, when you're placing objectives and everything, you place an objective right on top of where you're going to be putting your like Devastator equivalent squad. You put an objective there, and boom, you have basically a guaranteed objective for the entire game, as long as they don't get completely wiped out. So yeah, fast, heavy, and elites for me are just icing on the cake. They're where your troops and your HQ are your bread and butter, and your bread and butter for your troops and your spine for your HQ, your fast, elite, and heavy are what. Excuse me. Your fast, elite, and fast, elite, heavy are how you keep up with your army, if that makes sense. As you add points, you add fast, elite, heavy instead of more troops in order to be more efficient and to add more flavor, or add mobility, take away mobility as you needed to. And that's how I see those slots, as a utility slot that you need to plan specifically for. Your troops, you can throw them at anything. You can throw them at objectives. You can, they're the best at being in the middle of everything. Middle ground. Your elites are best at getting into close combat or being a distraction unit. You're fast or good at get objectives and being bodyguards for a fast HQ, and your heavy are good for long range DACA. And it's just finding that balance. Really depends on what mobility level you're at. For example, if you have the idea of wanting to take a mostly static army, you're not going to generally take a lot of fast, unless you absolutely need some way to mechanize and get your objectives from around the battlefield. But that leaves you hanging in that your fast are going to be probably mostly unsupported, and they're going to be easy to pick off. And vice versa with heavy. If you're planning on building a very mobile list, you can't take heavy because they can't generally keep up with the rest of your army, and they're going to be picked off from backfield deep strikers. You just have to find a very healthy marriage with it, and a good balance. I usually, depending on what kind of HQ, like what speed of HQ I'm taking, I start off with either an elite or a fast as a bodyguard unit as a way to get him up there. And from there, depending on the HQ, from there I decide whether or not I'm going to be a mobile or a heavy army. And that influences my decisions on which units I buy. Alright guys, I don't know if that made a lot of sense. I hope it did. Sorry I haven't been posting in a long time. It's just been super crazy with work and shrinks and school. It's just going a little crazy. So, but I'm going to try to be more consistent. I'm going to get this up here. I'm going to finish the series. And I'll see you all next time. But next episode is going to be on fortifications, formations, and detachments that aren't combined arms detachments. Alright, thank you for listening, and I'll catch you guys later. Bye.